Hello! It is the 19th of December, and do you know what that means, Mekkah?
Another Christmas calendar, or is there some kind of Norwegian holiday that you haven't told me about yet?
No, there's really nothing, it's just a regular day.
Remember, the 19th of December.
Forevermore it shall be known as that day where we review the Fire Emblem unit.
Just a Fire Emblem unit.
Yeah.
Just one.
Okay, so we're moving into the top 6 now. This is the 6th most popular character. Do you think, like, should we start, like, betting on what characters we might see now?
Oh, we were gonna do that for, like, top 5, right?
Well, yeah, let's start with the next one. So when we're on the 20th, we'll start guessing. We'll see who can get it right. So, but for now,
Okay.
let us go and open the latch and see what kind of unit lies within. And today we have okay. Hello.
I'm nothing more than a wayward bard.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm happy with
Wow.
that.
Looky
Cool.
here. You remember when we talked about Discount Lewin earlier?
I remember when we talked about ripoff Leah Lewin, yeah.
Yeah, here's the real deal. And probably one of my favorite FE4 characters, honestly.
Oh my god, is that a loot in his hands?
That is a loot in his hands. His cipher art is amazing. So, yeah, what do you think people love Lewin so much, aside from the fact that he's maybe is the most broken character in all of Fire Emblem?
His combat is ridiculous, I guess. He has a good character arc, uses wind magic, which I think is something people always like. People are really hyped on that thing where FE4 magic is super imbalanced and Lewin uses the best one.
Yeah.
It might just be his personality, period. He's just kind of a funny womanizer. I'm usually not very fond of the womanizer archetype, but Lewin does it alright. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? You know what really makes Lewin such a lovable bastard? It's when he shows up with Sylvia and he, like, tries to dump her.
Yeah.
And then she starts crying, and he goes like, "Oh, okay, please don't cry. Like, I can't take it when women cry. All right, you can come." And that sort of shows you right from the bat that he's not a bad guy, right? Because if he really was a jerk, he'd just dump her regardless.
Yeah,
But
same for, like, Erin, I think, when he talks to her, when he recruits her.
yeah.
He's like, I don't know, he says something nice to her. I forgot what it was. I just remember having a positive vibe from that
I think
conversation.
the recruitment conversation goes somewhat along the lines of like, "Oh, you loved me so much you couldn't stay away from me," and she goes like, and he's like, "I'm just joking. It's fine." Like,
yeah, chill out.
chill out.
Don't worry. People can take advantage of you like that. Yeah, that's what I remember. Yeah, that was. And then, he travels to his own country with Sigurd, and he actually realizes that when that girl dies, that he should have been out there on the battlefield, and he feels bad.
Yeah. And he again, Joshua's character arc is entirely based on Lewin's. They're very similar. Both are like lost princes who ran away from home because they didn't like. In Joshua's case, he didn't feel like he understood the people. In Lewin's case, he actually ran away because he knew that it would be a rebellion if he was in the country. So Lewin actually ran away to save his own people.
Yeah, wasn't it like he was next in line for the throne, but he felt like he couldn't handle it, so there would be a rebellion, so he left to let his brothers take the throne.
No, he knew that his two uncles, because his uncles were on the father's side, they were not inheritors of the Holy Blood. So by default, they were a lot more corrupt, because Holy Blood people are just like these perfect beings in FE4. And he knew that if he stayed in Silesia, his two corrupt uncles would either try to kill him or they would create a civil war to try and dethrone him. And
that
so
makes sense.
And so he was like, I better just fuck off and let these guys rule the country. But of course, his mistake is it's actually better to stay and fight the two corrupt uncles and risk people dying than just leaving your country in the hands of two corrupt uncles.
I find that a very weird line of thought, actually, because it ends up being that Rana, I think her name is, his mom.
Rana is his mom, yeah.
Rana's like the current ruler, so they would just rebel against her instead. So in what way is he protecting the people against rebellion?
It's
by
not
leaving?
the best logic, but that's the thing about Lewin, right? He starts off as this dastardly guy who kind of lives in the moment. He's a bard, he runs around, he is a womanizer. He doesn't really care about tomorrow, so I guess that just shows his faulty logic, in a way. And I'm not sure how much Fire Emblem 4 we want to spoil here, because I know there might be someone who hasn't.
Yeah, that's why I said that girl instead of,
Yeah,
something.
and also I want to talk, I wanted to talk a little bit about what happens in the second generation, but it's impossible to do without spoiling the ending, so we're just going to leave it for now. But needless to say, to speak in cryptic terms, I was not really aware of what went on with him in the second generation the first time around.
Me neither, I completely missed it.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I guess, okay, that's really weird.
I think the old transition patch issues might have something to do with, because you don't get to see his last convo.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But yeah, like, one of the things that just really astound me with Lewin is, like, if you haven't used Lewin as a cap sage with Versetti, you don't know what speed is, right?
You know, I have a funny story about Lewin actually.
Yeah.
When I first played FE4, I somehow didn't promote Lewin before Chapter 4, so I had a Bard Lewin with Forseti.
Wow.
Feels super good though.
He's still unhittable, isn't he?
Yeah, pretty much. His speed cap is much lower, but he's still really strong.
He gets 20 speed from it. It's so dumb. Like, it's...
Yeah.
No, wait, is it 20 or 30, actually? I think
It's plus 20. It does
Yeah.
weigh in down by 5 instead of 2 from the Wind Tome, so it's more like plus 17, but it's still insane. In fact, his avoid becomes so high that some enemies just don't bother attacking him, which can make things slower rather than faster.
That is actually really funny, I find, with FE4, is if a character gets too tanky or too dodgy, enemies will ignore them, so it actually serves against their purpose. Of course, it still means that you can send him into the arena to solo it, and he can still pretty much kill anything in the game in one turn, because like, Forseti deals a crap ton of damage, and sometimes Lewin can attack like 4 times in a turn, I think?
Yeah, if he has like Pursuit added and then proc added twice, which has really high odds in FE4, because that's like attack speed plus 20%, so it's really likely to trigger for him.
Yeah, so what Lewin attacks, Lewin will kill, pretty much.
Yeah, he also is critical by default, so he's just really likely to one round. Even if he's not too going, which is almost anything anyway, he's still fine. I just wish he had a mount, because man, not being mounted in FE4 sucks so much.
It really does. Yeah, I find that regardless of how good Lewin is, like he usually ends up biting the dusts in faster playthroughs, which is a bit of a shame. Although you can like rescue staff him after your army if you want. Just kind of good.
Yeah, it's such a waste of time though. Like
that is
your
true.
Can kill everything, having a really good foot unit doesn't really do anything. So I think he's a bit overrated by casual players sometimes in terms of how useful he actually is. But he's definitely easy to break the game with.
Oh yeah, and I think just people like him because like he shows up and you don't really think it's anything important. You see that he has Holy Blood, but it's like, yeah, whatever, he's just a bard, you know, and then suddenly he's like, wow, he's this prince and he kills everything. It's a very good recipe for popularity in Fire Emblem. A unit, again, we see a big trend here. If a unit can go to 0 from, or to hero from 0, they are extremely popular. Units that are heroes from the start are not as popular as units who start out weak and then become monsters. There's just like, I just see this pattern in all the units.
Yeah, this is fair. I don't think Lewin is even remotely a 0 when he first joined. He's still like viable, but he doesn't one round anything because he doesn't have pursuit. So
I found him terribly underwhelming when I first because he wouldn't double.
It's really annoying that he doesn't double. But when I think of 0, I think of like, I don't know, Gwendolyn, Nino, that kind of stuff. Not really.
Yeah. You got units like Arden in FE4, I guess.
It's more like a 3 or a 4 instead of a 0, but it's still like a pretty good development. And you know, he just looks really cool. He has really cool clothing.
he does, and I gotta say, I'm not sure how the new translation patch does it, but like one of my favorite memes is when like he says to Sylvia, like, will you join me? It's gonna get rough, and she goes like, I like it rough.
I think that was the old patch though.
Yeah, the old patch took some liberties with Sylvia. I think I just found that hilarious.
Understatement of the year right there. Like one of Lewin's lines in the old translation patch is like, let's just say my shrink has had steady work for a while.
Yeah, he did. You know what? I reacted to that. I was like, what? Shrinks? Really? Jerkdraw has shrinks? Jesus Christ, man. Anyway, guys, post in the comment section, what do you think about Mr. Lewin? Do you like him just because he's a powerful unit, or are there other reasons why you like him? I, for one, will say that I love his design. I've always been a sucker for bards. So yeah, anyway, guys, we will see you tomorrow with another Fire Emblem unit. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I like it, Ralph!